I wanted to get your take, obviously, Steve, on the Global Travel Taskforce report. You've been very vocal already this morning around it. I think you called it extremely disappointing. I think you speak for quite a few leaders in the industry. Would you mind sort of taking me through where you think the major failings of the report are for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have been told the earliest we can fly is May the 17th. And in order to start operations on May the 17th, it's important to know, well, first of all, is May the 17th the day? Is that definitely the date we're starting? Where are we going to be flying to? What's the criteria for assessing whether a country is red, amber, green? Which countries are red, amber, green? And what's the availability and the price of testing? And none of those questions have been answered. Now, we're in the situation where we've got to ramp up our number of colleagues in order to get ready for the 17th. So what do we ramp up to? 100% of aircraft, 50%, 25%? Do we recruit people for the season in every one of our 60 destinations? Or if it's only some, which ones? We don't have enough certainty on which to build the business going forward and to be prepared. So we're in a very difficult situation. Whilst the government have issued the report, and I guess it's a step forward in some respects, we don't have any more detail than we had this time last week, really.
Because you've been a major part of the consultation as part of the task force and the industry consultation with government. Were you right to expect more, do you think? Did they say they would be doing a larger document? I know it's only around kind of 30 pages, I think, or 18 pages, I'm trying to think. Do you think it's enough to really, for the industry now? I think you said it's kind of lacking in vital detail, isn't it? But were you expecting more?
I was hoping for more. I think our expectations have been set before in terms of the countries that we're going to be allowed to fly to. But if we're only going to find out about the countries early on in May, then that's 2 weeks before the 17th. That's not enough time to wind up the operation. It's not like if you go on holiday for 2 weeks and you get in your car, you just turn the key and off you go. It's not like that with an airline. We've got to have pilots with recurrent training, our cabin crew colleagues, ground operations, they need safety training. We have to make sure we operate in a safe way. We've got very, very onerous and complex procedures for very good reason. We've got to recruit staff overseas, seasonal people, and we just don't have enough time to start an operation with certainty, because if we do plan to start on the 17th and then we don't start on the 17th, we've incurred all that cost for another month, and it's a very significant cost. So as I said, the key principles, the bits of information we'd want to know is: when do we start, where do we fly to, what's the criteria for deciding which countries we fly to, and what's the availability and pricing of testing. We don't have an answer to any of those 4 points.
And you mentioned it there, Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays have suspended operations until June the 24th. Did you basically feel like the government had given you no other option? As you said, you'd incur costs if you didn't hit that May 17th kind of target.
Monday is the last day, realistically, we can press the button to get ready for the 17th of May. But I don't know how many people to recruit for the season, in which places, on what type of contracts, because I don't know how many flights we're going to be having. It might be we could fly to every one of our destinations, but the demand is really low. We just don't know. So I don't have enough information to commit, or confidence to commit the business to a significant increase in cost base without knowing what's happening. And again, I think the price of the tests is prohibitive. A family of 4 that's going on a holiday, that's £500 to get the tests on the way back. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for anybody. And I just don't think it's right that we continue going for the 17th with so many uncertainties. I don't think it's right for the customers, our travel agent partners, hotel partners, and indeed our colleagues who want certainty. They now have certainty for the next 4 weeks. It might not be the answer they wanted, but they've got certainty. Otherwise, they're just left hanging in limbo. People have got lives to lead and things to plan.
Would you expect other operators at a similar size to yourself to follow suit? Do you think this might start a wave of operators pushing themselves back a month or 6 weeks? Or
I've not really thought about other operators, to be honest. They'll do their own thing, I guess. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, we've done it because it's the right thing for the business, and it's the right thing, in our opinion, for the customers and travel agent partners and hoteliers. I mean, we spoke to some hoteliers this morning, and they're grateful for the fact we've put the date back, because now the uncertainty has been removed from their side, and they know they can open now on the 24th of June, or plan to open on the 24th of June, and hopefully things will be better. So it's better to have certainty than uncertainty.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of what the report did offer, I suppose there are some positives in. I know we mentioned testing, even the fact the government are looking at that costing, is that positive? I know there was the mention of the green watch list as well. So I know we had the SHAP's kind of roundabout of quarantine roulette last year. Maybe that might go. Were there some positives to pick out, Steve, do you think? And do you actually trust the government to bring testing down, or do you think that's just a thing to placate the industry?
I mean, we've been told they're looking at it and they committed to bringing the cost of testing down, but I'm not sure. I'd rather there be action than just commitments to action. I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's action we need, not promises of action, and we've just got to have some certainty. It's been a very difficult time for the industry, and we cannot ramp up our cost base to that of a fully operational airline when we have got no certainty of flying. That would be, on my part, reckless. I wouldn't be discharging my responsibilities properly, and I have to think of the company, the colleagues, hotel partners, travel agent partners, shareholders, etc. I've got to do what I think is the right thing for everyone, and I think it's better to say, okay, 24th of June rather than continue with this massive amount of uncertainty.
Do you feel let down? I can kind of see it in your voice, and I can see it on the interviews you've done already today. You'd be more than your rights to feel like that. Do you feel like the government maybe promised more with this huge task force, this huge consultancy with industry, and they haven't kind of delivered on what they might have promised? I don't.
I'm disappointed, but I try to remain empathetic as to the size of the task the government have got. I mean, it's very easy. Everybody can be a touchline manager, can't they, when they're watching football? And it's very easy to stand on the sidelines criticising. Obviously, my main priority is this business. So I can only go on the information we've been given. It's not an easy job at all. I'm not making light of it. It's very, very easy to criticise, particularly with the advantage of hindsight. So I don't underestimate the difficulties that the government have had, but I just hope that this issue hasn't been put in the too hard to handle pile and just keep, putting the date back.
Do you think that the policies that I know that they were trailed a lot in terms of the traffic light system, but the policies that they have outlined already in the report, do you think they will provide, I know we've talked about a lack of uncertainty, do you think they will provide more certainty than we had last summer, do you think?
Well, the traffic light system is not dissimilar to what we had last year. It just depends what the criteria for assessing whether something's red, amber or green. Because it may be that if people travel to a destination, maybe infection rates might go up slightly in that destination, or maybe vaccine rates will slow down. Now, we don't know what that criteria is. So without knowing what the criteria is, it's difficult to assess whether we'll be in or out or not. And again, that's what we're saying. We have no clarity. So we can't really say. But it would be very helpful to have a more stable environment rather than being in or out all the time. But we just don't have enough information to make an assessment at the moment.
What would you say to travel agents now? I know that Jet2's a huge supporter of the trade independent agents. Would you just say that you can only basically go on what the government provides you with and how they kind of help with the timeline ahead, and you kind of just are doing what's best for your business and them in terms of this extension of suspension?
Yeah, I mean, I have to run the business based on the information I have to hand at any one time. And at the moment, I don't have enough information or enough confidence to commit the company to a period of a massively increased cost base for what is a very uncertain date from the 17th of May. So my message to travel agents would be, with Jet2 holidays, you now have some certainty. Contact the customers that would have been departed from the 17th of May to the 23rd of June, and speak to them. We will obviously do free rebooks and amends for different days, and as always, and unlike many of our competitors, we will refund the money to the customer if they want it, so they can have absolute certainty that they will get the outcome they want, not the outcome a company wants. They can change the date, or they can have a refund.
In terms of next steps now, will you be going back to the government and the DFT to say, that this isn't acceptable, or you're not happy with these points or these points? Will you be kind of hunting them for extra clarity, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, we've been speaking to the government for a long time. We speak to them regularly, and there are some very, very competent people in the DFT. We spoke to them only earlier on this week. So we will be seeking clarity. What we tend not to do is go in the media every other day, because I think you should only really make appearances in the media when you've got something important to say. And what none of us want in this company is just to be in the news every day morning, because it can look a bit like that. But I think the Global Travel Taskforce report was billed as a big milestone where we would get some more clarity as to how travel would get going again. But I don't feel I have enough clarity at this stage to commit to a 17th of May start date. And if I progressed blindly with the 17th of May, as I said, I don't think I'd be discharging my job properly, because it's a big increase in cost. It's a lot of uncertainty, and I don't have enough of a degree of certainty to commit us to that. And also, as I said, we need to give hotel partners, travel agent partners, independent travel agent partners, and colleagues some certainty. And everyone can plan now for the 24th of June, and hopefully we will be flying by then. But of course, we will review the situation and communicate, as we have done all along, with our partners as early as is possible.
Yeah, when's kind of the cutoff? I know you said that Monday would have been for the 17th of May. So is it kind of, you're working kind of a month ahead of time almost at the
Yeah,
moment?
I mean, we really need a month's minimum of a month's notice for a destination before we can start. There's a lot of work to do. And we want to do this properly. We want to keep the service levels up to which people have become accustomed, and most importantly of all, we want to be safe. If you haven't driven your car for a while and it's a manual car, you might crunch the gears or stall it because you're not used to it. Well, some pilots haven't flown aircraft for a while, and we want to make sure they are comfortable, and therefore they'll be getting a lot of training in our simulators. They are doing already, and on live sectors before they fly customers. So the time required is to make sure that we are as safe an operation as we've always been.
And just finally, Steve, do you think that the government will take into account the reactions from the industry today, such leaders such as yourself, and they will revise things? I know it's difficult, as they said, to get that clarity so close to May with things changing all the time. But do you think that they will kind of change the policies they've laid out, or do they think it's a good enough model?
I don't think they'll change the policy. What we're waiting for we're waiting for the criteria by which countries are assigned a colour. We're waiting for and therefore a list of countries we can fly to. We're waiting for the start dates for each of those countries. When can we start flying? We're waiting for details on the availability and pricing of testing, because I think the government has acknowledged that testing is quite expensive. So we're waiting for all that. And also, I would like to see another tier. The green tier, green being good, on a traffic light system. Green is you need 2 tests. Well, in my opinion, green should be you go back to how it was in 2019. Where's that tier?
Yeah, it's essentially like an amber, isn't it? Like a second amber with a test. Is that what you'd really push for? And will you be contacting them about that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to get back to how it used to be in 2019, early 2020, but that tier isn't there, which I find quite confusing.
Is that just like overcautiousness from the government in terms of testing, or do you think that if people are vaccinated and they have a test before they leave the UK, that it's okay to come back without any restrictions? Do you think that's fair enough?
Well, if we're all vaccinated, I mean, we are going to have to get back to life as normal at some stage. Otherwise, we're all knackered, really. So therefore, we have to get back to travel without testing or quarantine as standard one day. I don't know when that will be, but the fact it's not in the traffic light system means, well, I don't know what it means actually. Are the government not thinking about it? Are they not intending to go back to that? It would be handy to know.
Yeah, definitely. We hope that clarity will come. But Steve, again, incredibly busy today, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your insight, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking me. Cheers.